All right, kiddos, let's talk about Joe Biden. Joe Biden has a reading problem. Miss Tara Reid, a woman who says who did work in Joe Biden's office back in the 90s, has claimed that while she was working for Biden, he sexually assaulted her. I'm not going to, tell her story for her, but it boils down to he stuck his fingers up in her kitty. Now, to me, her story seems credible. I believe he has been credibly accused. And there's many reasons why I feel he was credibly accused. There are many reasons why I feel like Kavanaugh wasn't credibly accused. I'm the kind of person that my heart wants to believe the victim instantly. I've got my own history with things like this, and so my heart says, oh, I identify with what you're going through. I feel, your pain. So, of course, at first I was starting to believe Blasey Ford. And I think at that time I was still liberal enough, still hated Trump enough, that I was rooting for Kavanaugh's life to be destroyed. I'm ashamed of that now. The man did not deserve the things that he got put through by the mainstream media and activists like Alyssa Milano, who I will get to in a bit. So there was a lot of reasons I didn't think Blasey Ford was credible. She couldn't remember where it happened, when it happened, who was there. She claimed that she told people when she didn't. So by the time that was all said and done, I didn't believe her. And if something did happen, I don't believe it was enough to be traumatic like she claimed it was. Having to build a second door in your house and you can't fly, even though you fly internationally for fun all the time. She just wasn't believable to me, especially the way she answered the questions, the way she spoke. Now, some people are that measured and that careful when they speak, but I get the feeling that she necessarily wasn't. Okay, enough about her and what she put Kavanaugh through. I think it's disgusting. I think it was disgusting what they put Kavanaugh through. Now, that said, I think they're hypocrites for not putting Biden through the same thing, although I'm not sure that they should put Biden through the same thing, because it was disgusting when they did it to Kavanaugh. At the same time, I believe Biden has been credibly accused. This woman can remember where it happened, when it happened, who was there, who she told. She remembers details. She was emotional when she spoke about it. She was reluctant, but Katie Halper, who did the original interview, Katie is with Rolling Stone, Katie kind of pushed her, and I was a little irritated with her, but there was one thing Tara didn't want to tell about her story that happened, but Katie kind of pushed her into it. And that was that apparently after she had, pushed Biden away or rebuffed him, he looked at her and told her she was nothing, or that she was nobody, something along those lines. And when you've just been assaulted, some kind of comment like that can really make things a lot worse. Like that can destroy your soul more than the actual assault does, the way you're treated about it afterwards. Now, she told her mother, she told her brother. Her mother has passed away, so we cannot ask her mother. But her mother apparently, this is an assumption, I believe it to be true. A woman from San Luis Obispo called into the Larry King Live show back in the 90s, asking, saying that her daughter worked for a very prominent senator. And if she was having trouble with the senator, what could she do aside from going to the press? Now, Tara Reid says that's her mother's voice. She apparently even got emotional over that, saying, oh, I haven't heard my mom's voice in years, when they played it for her. Now, there's no proof that that was her mother, but I'm wondering how many prominent senators have, or how many staffers' mothers of prominent senators lived in San Luis Obispo at that time. I don't think it's that big of a town. It's just one of the coastal towns. So I believe that that was her mother. Now, Tim Pool, who I believe his investigating and his fact-checking to be accurate, and if it's not, he usually comes back and says it's not. I forgot what I was going to say about him. He said that episode was missing from the Apple Store or Google Play, something like that. That episode of the Larry King Live show was missing. Now, he said there were other episodes that appeared to be missing, usually on Mondays. But during the week, there usually wasn't. And so this was one of the only, or one of the only. I believe he said some other people have found some episodes that aren't there. You can get it, the clip elsewhere, is my understanding. But this woman calls in, says that her daughter is having trouble with a prominent senator, and what should she do other than go to the press? I don't know what Larry King advised her. Now, another woman has come forward. Let me see. What is her name? New information. Linda Lacasse, I believe is how you would pronounce that. If that's wrong, I'm sorry, Linda. She was Tara Reade's neighbor back in the 90s, about 25 years ago. And she remembers a conversation. She says that she stepped outside her home to sneak a cigarette away from her kids, and Tara joined her on their front stoop. They were emotional, discussing custody issues and violence, and she recalls Reade mentioning Biden, a man Lacasse was not particularly familiar with at the time. Quote, I do remember her telling me that Joe Biden had put her up against a wall and had put his hand up her skirt and had put his fingers inside her, Lacasse said. Reade, as detailed in a previous NPR report, has accused Biden of pinning her against the wall, in the spring of 1993. Now, of course, this campaign denies the incident, and so do longtime staffers who Reade worked with at the time. Now, I want to say that there was something that came up about that there's a second woman who's, anyway, I want to say there was a second woman, but don't quote me on that. As others would say, fact check me on that one. So this woman has, in my opinion, a credible claim. She knows when, where, how, why, who. She's emotional about it. She made contemporaneous, I think the word is, at the time, statements to people, mother, brother. Now here's a neighbor. There's a possible other person that's come forward saying that she was told about this. Now Biden went on Morning Joe finally this morning to deny this with his own mouth. Now, I don't believe him. And honestly, the man doesn't know where he is half the time. How do we know he even can remember whether it happened or not? It's just ridiculous to me. Now, a couple other people are pissing me off in this. One of whom is Nancy Pelosi, who said that if we didn't do all these things for Christine Blasey Ford, that we would be failing all women. Now, she says she's very comfortable with what's going on with Joe Biden and who he is and the accusations made against him. But at the same time, she thinks that all women should be heard and this woman has a right to come forward and tell her story. Now, this is the way Kavanaugh should have been treated. Now, I watched a clip of Mika Brzezinski, if that's how you say her name, from Morning Joe. I don't know if that was this morning or yesterday morning's clip, where she was talking about how, no, he's not being treated like, he's not being given the Kavanaugh treatment. And how he shouldn't be given the Kavanaugh treatment. She came back and said Trump should not be given the Kavanaugh treatment. And I went and looked through their thing, and they did a little montage of how they actually did say that they didn't think this was right when it was going on with Kavanaugh. So I give them respect for that. And there's a little montage of saying how that shouldn't be happening. So I agree with her there. He should not be getting the Kavanaugh treatment. But at the same time, I'm sick of the hypocrisy. Nancy Pelosi, oh, we're failing all women and this man's evil and he can't be a judge. And to, oh, Joe's okay. We need Joe to be president. Let's, forget about that. That was 25 years ago. Oh, come on now. Oh, another reason why I believe this accusation against Biden is credible, because I've seen with my own eyes that he goes around touching people without their permission, pulling them in close, sniffing their hair, kissing them, hugging them. He was confronted on this early on in the campaign. He apologized. He said he wasn't going to do it anymore. He recognized that it was wrong. Okay, if he recognizes this is wrong now, what didn't he recognize was wrong 25 years ago? Did he not recognize it was wrong to grab one of your staffers and put your fingers up in her kitty cat? No, I don't know. Like I said, how do we even know that if it happened, he could remember? I don't believe he'd be honest if he did, but still, anyhow, Nancy Pelosi, yeah. And the other one I want to talk about is Alyssa Milano. Oh, go. I used to be a fan of hers. When I was a kid, I loved that show, Who's the Boss? I thought it was so, she was so cool. She was tomboy in it, and, she was kind of my age, and she was an actress, and how cool was that? And to me, it was a funny show. I was a kid. What do I know? Maybe it was a funny show. And then as a younger adult, I liked watching her in Charmed. It was a guilty pleasure, just a stupid show. It was one of the only things that was on at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning a lot of times. But I liked her character, whatever. I liked watching her in that show. I liked watching her in Who's the Boss? I didn't hear about her for a long time. I have no idea what she was up to. Apparently she's been doing Lifetime movies. So at this point, I don't even know if she's a B actress. But she was one of the biggest voices against Judge Kavanaugh. I believe she even showed up to one of those hearings wearing a Handmaid's Tale outfit. She was there. She's one of the leaders of the Me Too movement. She's, all this and all that. And speaking of which, the Time's Out movement will not represent Tara Reade because they can't get involved because Biden's running for president and it might affect his campaign, which is another bunch of crap, if you ask me. All these feminists are turning their back on an actual victim, in my opinion, and it makes me want to fight them all. I'm getting too old for fighting. Anyway, she still supports Joe Biden despite these accusations, and if she were asked, which she has not, she would advise Biden to just confront them, these allegations head on, take them on right head on. She doesn't believe Biden did this. She knows him. He's a good man. Didn't matter how many people said that about Kavanaugh. Oh, we know him. He's a good man. He would never do that. Now, Kavanaugh has led an exemplary life. As far as I'm concerned, Biden touches people without their permission. He helps his son embezzle and make money that he doesn't deserve, and he uses his influence to get his son these jobs. Like, he's just a corrupt man, morally corrupt. So why wouldn't I believe he would do this? But Alyssa Milano thinks that he's a good man and that we should just basically leave him alone. She goes on in this thing about how she was changed by this. And as an activist, it can be easy to develop a black and white view of the world. Things are clearly wrong and clearly right. Harvey Weinstein's decades of rape were clearly wrong. Donald Trump's alleged sexual assaults were clearly wrong. Brett Kavanaugh's actions, told consistently over decades by his victim and supported by her polygraph results, were clearly wrong. So were Matt Lauer's, Bill Cosby's, and so many others. As we start holding politicians and business leaders and celebrities around the world accountable, it's easy to sort things into their perspective buckets. This is wrong, this is right. Except it's not always so easy, and living in the gray area is something we're trying to figure out. But here's something social media doesn't afford us. Let's see. Sorry if I'm making a lot of noise with all this swallowing. I got a little phlegm in my throat. Women are not afforded the gray area. We're baby killers or welfare queens. Nothing but binary extremes, which, in my opinion, my personal experience, that's a bunch of hoo-ha. I've never been held back or oppressed by a man unless it was a man in the criminal justice system, and then it wouldn't have mattered if it was a man or a woman. I deserved it. Now, The allegations concern her deeply. He's a man I know, respect, and admire, and who I can't picture doing any of the things for which he's accused. But I've thought that before and been wrong, and sexual assault is always wrong. This is the shitty position we are in as women, but make no mistake, it's not because of women. We have to suss out the truth between two opposites, and either one puts us in an impossible position. His campaign's only statement is that he believes every woman should have the right to tell their story, and immediately is obligated to rigorously vet those claims. As far as his accuser, I want every survivor to have space to tell their story, but I don't want her to be fodder for the machine. Really? Like you didn't want Christine Blasey Ford to be fodder for the machine. It's funny how things just change when you like the person you're talking about. Let's see, and it's okay to wish things were different. She doesn't actually say why she's still, at least I don't see that in here. They concern her, and sexual assault's wrong, and she's been wrong before. But there's a bunch of mishmash, a bunch of word salad. The mental gymnastics these people must be doing to feel okay with themselves for ignoring this with Biden. Apparently, Chris Hayes from MSNBC actually reported on this, and people petition now to have him lose his job. So sick of cancel culture. I don't think Biden should be canceled, but I think people should know that this is being said about him. These are the facts as we see them. These are the allegations as we see them. They shouldn't just be ignoring it. It's ticking me off. It really is. And I don't know what else to say about this other than those who say vote blue no matter who are no better than the people that they say are misogynists because they voted for Trump even though he's had accusations against him. I believe he's even had some settlements. And that quote, they like to misquote, him grabbing women by their kitty cats, says, oh, that's what he likes to do. No, what he said was, when you're rich like me, women let you grab them by their kitty cat. He's probably right about that. Not every woman, but there's gold diggers out there that would let that ugly, overweight man do whatever he wanted with them because of the thought of possibly getting something out of it, even if it's just their name in the paper. Okay? So that's another thing that ticks me off, is they just say Donald Trump grabs women by the kitty cat. They never say he claims that when you're rich, that women let you. Okay? So anyway, I'm starting to get mad. I'm starting to rant. It's already been 18 minutes. Good Lord. If you're still here, thanks for listening. Anyhow, that's my feelings on why Joe Biden has a reading problem. So we will see y'all later.